told you this would happen. I told you this would happen like 3 months ago, something like that. But I made this video called I Have No Ambition. And in this video about having no ambition, I talked about having no ambition and how that was fine. And I didn't need to force anything and I didn't need to do anything. It was all cyclical and life comes in these waves and creativity comes in these waves. And it's okay to have periods of time where you have no ambition. That's fine. That's okay. And I said, if you wait, you'll recover. You'll find inspiration again. You'll get inspired, you'll get aggressive and creative and find yourself in a position where you want to do a lot of things. And we're here. I'm here. It's happening now. And I forgot about the HVAC. So, unfortunately, all of this happened, like the big switch happened right around New Year's. And I hate the cliche of New Year's resolutions and starting the year off with ambition and vigor and excitement and hustle. I roll my eyes at it because I've done it and failed so many times, and it's this cliche timed, oh, everything's gonna change. But my change started to happen like 2 weeks before New Year's, to the point where as I recognized it, I was like, this is gonna look like a New Year's resolution, isn't it? And sure enough, it exactly worked out that way. But what started this whole thing, before I get into what all these different things are, what started this whole thing was winter break. Winter break where my son was home from school for 2 weeks and I couldn't work anymore. I was primary caregiver. We've got the holidays and things like that. There aren't a lot of real jobs happening during that time for me. I'm not booked out on anything, don't really have any deliverables. But this is when my little creative projects, my passion projects, my personal projects all get to flourish. But I couldn't. I couldn't take the time. I didn't have that block of time while my son's at school to just work on the things that I want to work on. And in this time, as you may have noticed from my Jigsaw video, I found Van Neistat. And I've been a Casey Neistat fan for years, and I've emulated his videos in the past. And I just was blissfully unaware of his brother Van. And I've been diving into Van's catalog and finding inspiration. But that sort of came after. That was this extra catalyst to pushing me towards all this stuff. And so what really got the ball moving was we got a date roughly to film our first episode of the kids show, of Our Little World. And that's happening hopefully this spring. We're waiting for some confirmation, but a part of that, I've needed a lawyer. And I found one. And we need this board of educational advisors, and we're starting to reach out to them and build this group. We're getting our crew together, and all these little things are happening where now we have momentum. And I'm noticing the same thing that happened back in 2019 when I did the marshmallow lesson. With the marshmallow lesson, the whole time I was working on it, leading up to it, in my head the whole time, I was sure, I was resolute that it would never actually happen. And that sort of was the mentality during every step of like, well, I'll go visit like the prop warehouse with Kirkland and we'll have our friendship bud at this place and learn about what props are available to us. And we'll go, even though it's not going to happen, this will be a good thing to do. And then we'll go to the costume shop, even though, this is all, it's a good thing to know, even if it doesn't happen. And then we'll talk to the rental space, and even if it doesn't happen, until we're filming it. And that's when it was fine. Like that morning loading in of like, oh, we did every little thing to lead up to this, and it's happening. And that's why I'm in love with production. That's why I love, because with pre-production, you get to experience production. And production doesn't just happen without pre-production, but if you do your pre-production right, you can't really get out of the production piece of it, and that's exciting. And so for me, happening all at the same time, I start to have momentum with the show, and with a deadline on the horizon, it's important that we start doing these things, but we're doing them. And toward the end of the year, one of my favorite authors, Tim Urban, who writes the blog Wait But Why, released his top 22 tweets from 2022 or something like that. And he has these cerebral observations about the world and the universe and size and context. And it's always just sort of your run-of-the-mill inspirational stuff with a bit of approachable insight to it. And for me, there was one that just jumped off the page, and that was this simple: no one builds a house. They lay one brick again and again and again, and the end result is a house. A remarkable, glorious achievement is just what a long series of unremarkable, unglorious tasks looks like from far away. And that's such a lovely button on it of, yes, we're creating a children's show, but really, we contacted a lawyer. We talked to some crew. We've talked to a location. We're doing all these little things, and at the end of it, it's going to turn into something spectacular, but every one of these steps is kind of easy when you think about it, and it's easy to get momentum as you do all these little things, and that's what we started to get. And then with that, my brain did the thing that it does when it gets excited, and it started to think of other things. And last summer, I came up with just one chapter, and I'm starting to talk to people about that. And that's one of these projects where I want to get it right, and I want to do it, and I have these visions for it. But I think the best way forward is just to do it in as low impact of a way as possible and start with an audio-only podcast and go from there, because I think that's more forgiving and it'll be easier to get more people on board with that. Maybe we'll start doing video down the road, but I'm excited to do that. Excited to do the kids show. I've got some actual work coming up with a couple clients that I'm very excited about to start the year. And then just getting into it, I've been recording music over the past few weeks, and I'm going to post a couple songs to the channel here, but I started collaborating with my buddy Drew from college, my roommate, who's a brilliant musician, and it's just been fun. And my goal is to make a stock music album. And I've talked about this for a couple of years of I know how to make music. I'm not good at it because I never really follow it all the way through, but it's the kind of thing that I enjoy. And anytime I do it, I have fun. And so why don't I do it a little bit more? And so I've got this excitement for that. And then it struck me that, hey, we should do a video class on how to do video production. I've been talking to so many people lately and exchanging ideas and answering questions to the best of my ability. I made a whole video about passing knowledge along. I'm like, what's a better natural extension of that than creating a class? And I know there's no shortage of classes on how to do video production, but we've got sort of a different spin. And I've been talking to Chris about doing it together, and then we talked to Kirkland, and our budding relationship's coming back once again to think about how to do this project differently and how to do it well and how to make it worthwhile for the viewers. And so I'm excited about that, but that's taken some work and taken some writing. And then I want to do 2 books. I've never written a book before, but I want to do a children's book. I've been reading a lot of children's books, especially over the break. And we've been doing these nighttime stories. We went through the old Winnie the Pooh stories, and we just read this other animal tales for bedtime or something. They're both sort of strange books with good lessons, maybe some outdated weird references because they were written in the, 1940s or 50s or something. I don't know. But there's such an opportunity to write inspirational, fun stuff, just short stories, and put together a little collection. And I keep finding myself thinking now, this is something that someone else should do. I'm not a children's author. I shouldn't do this. I'm not a podcast producer. I shouldn't do that. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. I'm not a musician. I shouldn't do that. But why not? I have the tools. I have the time. I have the ambition right now. Why not pursue these things? And then the last thing I want to do, if I'm remembering all of them off the top of my head, the last thing I want to do is write a book about how to run a business, how to run a creative business in this modern world, and what I think creative businesses especially, should look like in the future. And I've had a ton of experience working with agencies that I think are focused solely on money and margins. And I've worked with some agencies that are focused on making some incredible things at whatever expense just because they love it. And I've gotten to work with both and learn from both. And I think there's some lessons that I would love to put into a book and accept the challenge of writing a book. And all these things come back to that metaphor of building a house brick by brick, and with the right to-do list. And this is really where the Van Neistat video came in handy. He's got a video about his to-do lists, or his do lists, not to-do lists. I don't know, something clever and thoughtful. But in it, it's just breaking down all the little tasks. And he said this thing of look around here, and every, his shirt had a patch on it, and he could find the to-do list that said, get patches, sew it onto the shirt, get the shirt, all, you can look at everything, and he has these to-do lists that just run everything. And when it's on the list, you do it. In whatever order, you do it, and you're just always doing stuff, and that's how you accomplish stuff. And making sure you don't burn out in there is important. But that simplicity of making a to-do list and doing it hit me right where I needed it, when I needed it. And so I took an hour or two and took all of these projects, all of these things I want to do, and I broke them into their pieces and I put them onto a to-do list. And when I've got 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and just a little bit of time, it's so easy to look at the list and say, I can do that. I can do that now. And knowing that every time I do that, every little step, every little brick that I'm putting in place seems like it's not that big of a deal. When you're building a house, put some sticky stuff on a brick and set it down. And you do it again. Then you do it again. Sometimes you can say, hey, I'm going to do 50 bricks. I've got the time. Sometimes you might only have a chance for one brick. But you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I've built a full wall. I've built 2 walls. I've built 3 walls. I'm building floors. These things just grow and they get momentum. And that has me excited. And while I think looking back to my previous self, being afraid of being overly ambitious and excited, I have this energy that I'm not wasting and I'm excited about. And I know that this won't last forever. And I'd love to look back on the spring of 2023 as like, wow, I cranked out this, and this. Holy cow, that was crazy. I don't know if I want to do that again, but I did it. And that's exciting to me. And so if I wrap this up with 2 things, I would say, 1, make a plan, because with a plan, if you're excited, only if you're excited, don't force it. If you force it, you will burn out, you won't enjoy it. Wait for the moment and you'll feel it. You'll feel it, you'll get excited and it'll happen. But make the plan and follow the plan, because before you know it, you'll have done something incredible, or at least made some serious, incredible progress towards something. And both of those things are wonderful things. But secondly, I get the metaphor of building the house 1 brick at a time, but I'm trying to not change the metaphor, but change the metaphor. Is there something better? Like the Mona Lisa was painted 1 brushstroke at a time. So like everything's cliche as I think about it. But I'm trying to come down to like one little nugget of like, lay 1 brick. Whatever it is, do the thing. What is a turn of phrase, a little motto, a catchphrase that can embody this sentimentality of do it. Do not just do it. Not that one. That one's taken. But that's what I'm pushing myself. So if you have anything, throw it in the comments. I'd love to hear it, and we'll put it on shirts or hats or whatever as a reminder that pre-production makes everything else happen. So do it. Focus on it. Ride the wave of your excitement. Get the most out of it while you can without burning out. Don't push yourself too hard, because you will force yourself to burn out faster. But when you feel that excitement, ride the wave. Lay the brick. Do the thing. Just do it. That's all I got. Have a great day or night or whatever, wherever. See you later. Bye.